Hello, and welcome to our webinar with the Krannert School of Management at Purdue University. In today's session, you're going to learn more about three of its top master's programs, the Masters in HR, Marketing, and Global Supply Chain Management. My name is Zornica, and I'm the moderator of this online session on behalf of UniMy Masters. I would like to thank you all for joining us and to welcome our speakers, Michelle Hadley, Director of Marketing, Heather Goodwin, Assistant Director of Recruiting, and Scott Nelson, Assistant Director of Recruiting. We will have presentations for each of the programs, which will elaborate on their scope, advantages, and potential to contribute to your professional development. Your questions are more than welcome, so if you have any, please write them down in the chat box anytime during the webinar, and we will take the time to address them in the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Before we start, let us double check whether everyone can hear us. If you can hear me, would you please write a yes in the chat? All right, all seems set. So thanks, and I'll now give the word to Michelle.
Great. Thanks, Zori. Thanks for having us here today. We're excited to share a little bit about Purdue University and the Krannert School of Management, as well as some of our amazing programs. So we're going to dive right in and introduce you to our program here. Hang on. There we go. So you already know who we are. Again, I'm Michelle, and I'm joined by my colleagues Heather and Scott, who are intimately involved with the three programs that Zori mentioned, and we'll get into that in a little more detail. But for those of you who are not familiar with Purdue University or where we are located, you can see from the presentation, we're in the Midwest of the United States, a quick 2-hour drive from Chicago, an hour from Indianapolis, so nicely situated in between two metropolitan areas. But we're also a 4-season area of the country, so you get to enjoy all the beautiful seasons while you're here as a student. And so thinking about why earn a management or a master's degree in business. So many of you are probably at this point right now as you're doing your research and trying to understand, is this the next best step for you? It's a big step. So it's important that you take a lot of things into consideration and plan your strategy for what you want to do. But as you think about it, when you think about a master's in business, it tends to be the solidifying degree that helps bring a lot of different educational areas together. So no matter what you're going to do in business or in industry, if you've been a scientist, if you've been an engineer, if you have studied liberal arts, oftentimes you're going to end up working in some type of industry, and that similar thread that runs through all that is business and operations and how that all works together. And so that's why a lot of times a master's in a business discipline can make a lot of sense for your career and those next steps. It'll help you advance your career, obviously develop specialized skills. Certainly, you're going to hope for an increase in income as you progress through that. But what we try to do at Krannert is really do a good job of bringing your soft skills that you may have and complementing them with some hard business skills, particularly in the areas of analytics. That is something that Krannert is very well known for. And so if that's something that you're looking to bolster up your focus and build your skill set, you'll be able to find that here at Krannert. So just a quick snapshot. We have a lot to offer at our business school. We offer 6 residential programs, and they're all listed here, along with another 5 online business master's programs. You'll notice this little asterisk next to many of them. That means those programs are actually a STEM designated program. So for our international friends who may be wanting to earn some additional time or working in the US, time to work in the US, that may give you that opportunity if you earn that degree. Certainly, it also means that those degrees come with a little more STEM focus in their curriculum. And so Oftentimes that's what students look for here at Purdue. We're obviously, if you're not aware, we're a very well-known engineering university, and so our business school gleans a lot of students from that area, and we also look at business from an analytical perspective, right? So the one thing that we try to do, regardless of the program, whether it be marketing, supply chain, human resources, is teach our students how to make data-driven decisions that are going to help them be very impactful in whatever industry or business they choose to follow. So let's touch just a little bit right now on the three programs we want to talk about. So our Master's in Human Resource Management, it's often continually ranked #1, sometimes #2 in the country. Part of that is it has a very strong curriculum that parallels our MBA program. So a lot of the courses that our students in the Masters of Human Resource Management take, they're studying right alongside other MBA students, which help prepare them to not only be a specialist in the area of human resources, but also have a really strong cross-functional business foundation. So we're very proud of that program. A lot of amazing alumni in most top Fortune 500 companies across our country. You're going to find a lot of Purdue HR alumni in that space, which is really helpful not only for our MSHRM students, but also a lot of our students across Purdue. It's always helpful to have Purdue alumni in hiring positions, right? Then we get to our supply chain program. So currently ranked by US News and World Report, #8 as an overall program and area of study at Krannert. Operations and supply chain often is considered a very, it's a strength at Krannert. Our faculty are some of the leading researchers in this space across the world. And so our students get a chance to engage with them, not only in the classroom, but also in some really amazing experiential learning opportunities directly with companies, solving real world problems in team consulting projects, competitions, and the like. And then marketing. So from a graduate marketing program, we're ranked #3 in North America. By Ed Universal, which is exciting for us. This is a fairly new program, and when I say fairly new, I mean less than 5 years old. And we're excited to see the growth in this program and the amazing students that we're turning out. We have an amazing advisory council of industry professionals across the country of top companies that help not only provide advice and guidance for our students and alumni, but also help us shape our curriculum, engage with our students for projects, again, in an experiential learning capacity, which is really important here at Purdue, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But just the idea of not only taking the theoretical of what we learn in the curriculum, but being able to apply that and understand how do we actually make that work in a real world scenario. So our students get a lot of different options and opportunities to do that with real companies, nonprofits, companies that are wanting to start. Our students are involved in helping them scale up and develop their business plans in a variety of these different areas. So it's really exciting to see when they graduate how very prepared they are to hit the ground running wherever they end up. So why Purdue? Again, for those who might not know a lot about us, I'm not going to read through all of these amazing statistics, but certainly I think this touches on a lot of the things that are highlighted about our university, things that are a strength. The Wall Street Journal ranks us, very highly in terms of being a public university, but also being a highly valued university in the United States. And so what does that look like? And I do want to touch on that one specifically. It's not only the affordability of the tuition for students to come here, which is very, very important to us as an institution, but it's also the ability for our students to place at some, really amazing companies at a very high earning point. And so understanding that it is a big investment for you to choose to pursue a master's degree. And for us, it's a it's a big responsibility if you choose that at Purdue, and we certainly want to make sure that your money is wisely invested and you have a good return at the end of the day. So that's an important one. And then you'll notice there are several other things in terms of like STEM disciplines, innovation, and certainly we are a highly diverse university, diverse on a lot of levels, certainly from an international student standpoint, but educational backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, just diversity of thought is very important to the culture we try to create in the classroom, because we, as a university, we feel like that makes us so much better and more productive, and makes our alumni better equipped to contribute in a broader capacity by understanding so many different perspectives and backgrounds. So why Krannert? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our school specifically, and why we might be someplace that you might consider choosing for your degree. So again, we've touched a little bit on the alumni. So at Purdue, we have well over 500,000 alumni globally. It's hard to go anywhere in the world and not run into a Purdue alumni, or identify Purdue alumni working in a major company or organization around the globe. Those companies often tend to recruit here at Purdue. Well over 1,000+ companies come here on our campus every year to recruit. But more importantly, I think we do a really amazing job of helping our students learn to network and use that alumni network and pipeline to align with whatever company or whatever industry or role they want to fill. And so that'll touch on the point where I have customized career coaching. Within our business school, we have what we call our Krannert Professional Development Center. And there, every one of our students will be assigned a personal career coach that will work with them to help them develop a strategy, understand what it is that they want to do when they graduate, and help them put a plan together to get there. And so they'll work with them, just a sampling of the things they'll do. Certainly, they're going to help them develop a resume, but more importantly, again, they're going to help them try to identify those companies that'll be the best fit for them, put a plan together, help them identify their strengths, do mock interviewing, teach them to network, and really just be a constant source of encouragement and advice in their entire career search. So that's an exciting thing that our students get to be a part of while they're here at Krannert. And again, the two things that I did touch on earlier, experiential learning and certainly collaborative opportunities. So there's just a list of a lot of things there that our students get to be involved in, whether it's, again, consulting projects, case competitions, but also we do, we try to be very intentional about how we expose our students to different areas of the world, the country, different companies. And so we try to arrange opportunities for students to travel and visit and network around the country, around the globe if they choose, and then a variety of student clubs and organizations. So if there's an area of interest professionally or just socially, or you have a unique interest, there's a pretty good chance there's a club here that you can connect with other people who have that same interest and develop leadership skills while you're doing that. So that's also something that I think is an exciting opportunity for our students. In terms of collaborative opportunities, Purdue itself, and then also within Krannert, we have a variety of different centers, entrepreneurial incubators, areas of interest like our Carnegie Data Analytics Center, the Rail Yard, which is it's an incubator and a location for students who want to start their own business. They can go there, have their own independent workspace, just a variety of places to try and engage other entities and assets across campus, but also have the opportunity to really put to test what they're learning in the classroom. And we want to make sure that those things are available to our students. So we encourage them to get involved really from the first day they arrive. And then, of course, you're going to see this just a snapshot of some of the companies who often come here and recruit our students. We have alumni in all of those and many, many more. But again, I also want to encourage you, and we do this as our students arrive at the beginning of their semester. your career path, it really is up to you. So if you don't see in that little logo patchwork there, you don't see your dream company, that doesn't mean you can't land there. We want to work with you to kind of identify that and help you figure out a plan to get there. And so whether they come to Purdue or they don't, that shouldn't limit where you end up, and we can help you figure out a way to do that. So the application requirements. This is probably what might interest a lot of people because it's somewhat of a stressful situation. I understand applying to business school takes a lot of work. There's a lot of components, but we want to make that as easy as possible for you. And so I'm going to walk through some of the requirements, and then in a little bit we'll dig into some more questions. And Heather and Scott are going to really give some good advice and perspective on what you can do to be competitive and how they can help you do that. So our application for all of our programs is online, and you can find that at our website. Depending on the program, it may require a standardized test, either the GMAT or GRE. We accept both, but you'll always just want to check. Not every program requires them, or there may be waivers available depending on your background. So work experience or academic background, or a combination of both. So it's always important to work with your recruiter as you're applying, and they can help clarify that for you. Statement of purpose essay. So this will be, a big component of your application. Oftentimes, I think, people as they're doing their essays, they often try to frame a message or a story that they think our admissions team or those who are involved in admitting students want to hear. And really what we want is your story. What's gonna tell us about who you are? What's gonna set you apart? What makes you different? And more importantly, how does that apply to the program that you are applying for, right? So we want you to weave your unique story in an essay and tie it to your interest in the program and what you think that's going to do for you. And we'll touch more on that in a little bit. And then the last thing I want to highlight is our Kira video essay. And so that sounds a little scary, but it's not. It really is, it's an easy thing. It helps us just get to know you a little bit more, depending on the program. And again, not all programs require it. So this is where it's important for you to kind of, read the requirements as you begin applying and check with your recruiter. But typically it's a series of, 3 to 5 random questions. They may center around the specific program you're applying to, maybe leadership, teamwork. And it really is, just our opportunity to kind of see what your thoughts are. There are never any wrong or right answers. It's really just about getting to know you a little bit better. So that's a quick snapshot of the basic requirements for the application. And then, I talked a little bit about the recruiters and how they can help you through that process. And so it's just really important for you to understand here at Krannert, we want to make sure that, all your questions are answered. And if we can help you in any way to develop, the most competitive application, we want you to do that. And that's where your recruiter comes in. They can help you understand, are you the right fit for this program? Is there a better fit? Depending on what you're wanting to do, you may not have all the information, and there could be a better program that you might want to look at. They can talk to you about what the life and culture is like here at Purdue and Krannert. They can answer a lot of questions just in terms of that entire process that the student goes through. Certainly, they can give you, feedback on the application process, competitiveness of your application. They can help you understand, based on your test scores or your essay, what you need to work on, how you can prepare for interviews, things of that nature. And so at the end of the day, they're really just there to help you succeed. And so we want to encourage you, although not all students take advantage of it like they should, really reach out to your recruiter. Don't hesitate to talk to them, ask them questions, and work with them as you're developing your application for whichever program you're choosing to apply to. So what do you do now? Right. So first thing is you're already in the right place. You're beginning to research. You're at this webinar. You're trying to learn more, and you all may be at various stages of this process. And so if you're thinking about grad school, there's no better time to start in the present in terms of your planning. And and like I had talked about earlier, it really is about working backward. So you want to think about what it is that you want to do and where you want to go and where you want to be, and then help that drive your decision about the type of program or the type of school or the type of environment that you want to learn in. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but that's about figuring out what your fit is. And so there are a lot of things that you can do as you research business schools. I would say in general, first thing students often do is they go straight to rankings, right? Rankings are a good measure of certain components of programs and universities. Certainly they measure a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, if you're going to be spending 12 months, 18 months, even in some cases 2 years studying at a location, you want to make sure, one, that you feel like it's a good fit for you culturally, educationally, from a career standpoint, thinking about what you want to do, what you want your time to be like, and even the alumni network, right? When you think about your fit, you're going to be a part of a program at a university, not just for that short amount of time that you're there, but really for your entire career in life. You're part of an alumni family. So that's why fit's so important. It's not like you just, hop in and hop out. You want to make sure that you're associating yourself with the right type of program and the right type of culture and alumni base and student base that you want to be a part of. So do your research, talk to your recruiters, talk to a lot of students, talk to alumni, think about what fits best for you, and then try to align the right programs and schools for that. You get a good handful of schools that fit that filter that you're looking for, and you can't go wrong in choosing one of them. And then I hate to mention it because it's the most stressful thing of most students, but start thinking about the GMAT or GRE right now. So if your program does require that exam, start studying. I can't encourage you enough. We often tell students 4 to 6 months is a good time frame to really put a plan together to gradually study and progress in the test process. So we often encourage students, just take a practice test right out of the gate. So you really understand what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what do you need to work on, and then put together a plan to start working on those over the course of the next 4 to 6 months. That will help you be prepared. Oftentimes students take the test at least twice. Not everyone, but oftentimes that's the case. And so we understand that sometimes life is busy and things get in the way, but from our perspective of what we've seen of the thousands of students who've applied to our programs, those who take the time to prepare and plan out and really understand where they need to work, do the best on the test, and end up having the most competitive applications. So anyway, I won't dwell on that anymore, but just take the time to prepare. Okay, so that's all I'm going to share in terms of like our actual presentation session. But what I want to do is jump to some questions that are specific about the programs. And I'm going to give Heather and Scott a chance to kind of give their best advice and what they understand, and try and give you some background on things that we think would be interesting to you. So I'm going to start with Heather in terms of the human resource program. What is it about that program that you think sets it apart, or what are some of the unique benefits for students who choose to come to that program?
Yeah, so one of the best benefits is something that you did touch on a little bit, Michelle, is that our program is located within the School of Management, within our business school. That means that our HR students get to work alongside students who are in our MBA program and some of our other programs, where our HR students get to be involved in courses like business analytics, and they have the opportunity to take courses in, corporate finance and accounting and strategy and operations. And, our goal when you're finished with this program is for you to be able to, have a seat at the table alongside maybe a VP of finance, a VP of operations, and you as a VP of human resources, let's say. It's important for you to be able to be involved in discussions that, and for you to understand what your peers are are doing in their departments as well. So I think that that is something really important that we bring to the table with our program. Other MS human resource management programs are not located in the business school. So there's of different universities. So there's not always a lot of that overlap. We think that's a strength that gives our students sort of a little bit of an advantage when they go out job hunting.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. So Scott, you have a couple programs that you oversee that we're talking about here. So I'll let you kind of talk about them maybe independently or collectively, but from a marketing and then global supply chain standpoint, what would you say are the benefits or unique aspects of those programs?
Well, really for both of them, I think the fact that Purdue is a science, tech, and engineering campus really influences how our business school functions. And global supply chain is going to be an analytics degree no matter where you go. Marketing, maybe not. But the fact that we are in a heavy engineering institution, our marketing program is a very strong marketing analytics program. And from a supply chain side as well, we see a lot of overlap and crossover with our very strong industrial engineering department peers across campus. So if you're looking for strong analytics, Purdue is a great place to go in general, but specifically for the marketing and supply chain program. And two other things I'll highlight kind of individually for each program. Our global supply chain program has a faculty-led consulting project that happens in the summer. Students can hold an internship in the summer if they wish, but if they don't wish to hold an internship, or maybe they can't find one, they can do an outside consulting project where you are studying and earning credits and doing this consulting project for a big time real institution with a real business problem that our faculty is leading and advising you on and assessing you on at the end. So that's kind of a unique factor of the supply chain degree. For marketing, I'm going to go back to the thing I talked about earlier, analytics. You'll find a lot of analytics in marketing that is going to be helpful all around, and be able to apply those. The marketing program finishes with kind of a capstone consulting project where you also get to apply that in real life, in a real business problem before going out into the world. So those are a few of the things that I can think of, Michelle.
Great. So I know from what I know about what you both do, you get a lot of chances to talk to students as they prepare to apply, but also you stay engaged with them while they're students here on campus. And so maybe share with me, what do current students tell you about why they chose their programs? And you can speak, generally or independently of either one of the programs you're highlighting.
I can start. I talk with a lot of the human resource management students, and I hear sort of a common theme, over the last, almost 5 years that I've been doing this, is that they felt that they got a lot of personal attention during the beginning phases of their research. Once they started the application, we really strive to develop the relationship so that we really are the person that helps them present forth their best application, and that means telling them they need to work more on their essay, or telling them these are the things that you'll be doing in this class. This is why this fits to your goals, because we know what their goals are. We know why they want to be in the program. So I think the personalized feeling that they got from us at the beginning, from my relationship building at the beginning, and then it kind of filters on down through some of our other departments also in terms of how admissions interacts with our students, and just sort of, we really do strive to sort of be the best and set ourselves apart with the personal attention. Pre-COVID, we used to go to different areas of the country just to meet with students who were going through the application process, just to talk with them and sort of put them at ease and help them in a very personal manner, whether it was helping them to finish their application or helping them to decide to come to Purdue. So that's something I hear a lot from students, that they got a lot more personal attention from us than they did from other recruiters at other universities.
Good.
I'll follow that with, not only does the personal attention happen during the admissions and recruiting process, but what I hear from students is when they actually visit campus and then come here to study, being in a very tight-knit, personal, family-like environment. Many of you may know Purdue is a very large institution. We have over 40,000 graduates and undergraduate students across the entire university. But our business school is relatively small. Our graduate business school is relatively small in comparison to some of our peers at other universities across the country and across the world. And so, you're going to come in with maybe a cohort of for human resources that Heather works with, for instance, maybe 20 to 30 in your cohort. For marketing, maybe around 40 in your cohort, upwards of 50 and 60 for some other programs. But that's what I hear a lot from our students and why they chose us. They didn't feel like they were just being thrown into a sea of students. You will get to know your peers will get to know you, similarly with your faculty, your administrators, your career services. I think that is something that sets us apart. Being a smaller and more tight-knit business school, but at the same time, being on that very large campus, and our students are able to take advantage of employers and various opportunities that not only come here for business school talent, but come here for talent in agriculture, come here for talent in engineering, for pharmacy, for health sciences, and so forth. Our students really reap the benefits of just being on this large campus where a lot of folks are looking for Purdue talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Good points, across the board. And I think you're absolutely right. If I also would always tell students, if you're looking for an environment where you can just kind of blend in and sit in the back of the classroom and not get engaged, this might not be the right place for you, right? Because the faculty are going to know who you are. They're going to want to get you engaged from the first day. They're going to know about what you want to do. If you make yourself known to them, they're going to help you in any way they can to succeed. And so it really is a tight-knit family environment. And I think that that melds over even into the alumni, network. It doesn't stop the day you graduate. They all stay connected. They stay connected with us. And that really just helps open doors down the road that you just never know. So, all right. So I want to jump into a few questions now that are really more application related, because I know that's a topic that's of great interest to probably a lot of our viewers. So maybe share with me, what are some of the one or two advice points you would give to a prospective student about what they can do to have the most competitive application?
Yeah, I can start again. Sorry, Scott. So for HR specifically, I always talk with students about their statement of purpose. And again, Michelle touched on it a little bit. This is an important part of your application. This is not the space where you need to sort of, summarize your resume. We have your resume that should show exactly sort of what your experiences are and what your academic record is going to look like. The statement of purpose is really where you need to articulate why this program is good for you now at this point in your life. How does it fit into your short-term and long-term career goals? And like Michelle said, tell us your story. What sets you apart? Have you had some leadership experience? Have you had some experience where you showed some type of progression in a position that you had, whether that was an internship or a full-time position? For HR specifically and for some of our other programs, you don't necessarily have to have human resource experience, but you need to be able to tell the story that shows why does this fit for you right now? Do you want to make a pivot, or what types of roles are you interested in human resource management? We don't want to hear, oh, I like people, I want to work with people. No, human resource management, what do you want to do? Do you like talent and acquisition? Do you like diversity and inclusion? Do you want to work in total rewards? Or what types of companies do you want to support? What type of companies do you want to try to get your job at? So this is where you need to be specific and don't feel like you're bragging about yourself. Tell us what makes you a good fit for this program.
Yeah, and I would say, make us like you. And that's where there's a fine line between bragging and talking about your strengths and why you're going to be a good student, why you're going to be a good employee upon graduation, and why you're going to be a good alumnus in the future for Purdue. We're looking for individuals who are going to fit in here well and be the type of student that is just going to be the person that your peers are going to like to have in the classroom, or that your faculty are going to like to teach because you are engaged. So in regards to that kind of make us like you, talk about what you can bring, give examples of projects you've worked on in the past, talents you've exercised in the past professionally that you think will translate well and be a good fit in the cohort here. And then similarly with, I think the statement of purpose, Heather, is spot on. My second piece of advice is, know what you're getting yourself into academically and then professionally beyond. So it's going to take a little bit of research on your part to, I'll use marketing as an example. Surprisingly, a lot of people who apply they can't articulate what marketing actually is or what they're going to do with it. So take some time to see, okay, what is the career I want upon graduation? Does marketing and what Purdue's description of their MS degree and their coursework fit into that goal? And articulate what that's all about, why you think you'll be good at it, and what you wish to do upon graduation. And that's the statement of purpose, very forward thinking in that regard. So yeah, so make us like you and know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, great points, guys. And it can be difficult, right? Because I think those sometimes can be hard things for students to, articulate in writing or in the essay. And again, I think there's a lot of advice and maybe blogs or chats out on the internet that try to guide students in what they think they want people to say. And again, back to that point, be yourself, know about the program you want to apply to, and understand how does that fit together, right? And be able to articulate that. So all right, so for the three programs that you guys are representing, each of them actually do an interview, right? So during the application process, what can you tell the students, prospective students, to do to best prepare for the interview? Heather, why don't you start?
So again, it's a little bit of the same advice with the statement of purpose. Be prepared to speak very articulately to your interviewer about why this program makes sense, and be prepared to answer questions that they're going to ask you. They're going to try to get out of you sort of the experiences that you've had, and show that you've done some research on what the program is about. Are you familiar with the program? Have you really thought ahead to what you want your goals to be, and does this program align with it? Be sure that you have some questions that you ask the interviewer. Make sure that you're asking, the questions that show that you've really thought about the program and researched the program. You don't have to know or have your, goals set in stone for what you want to happen after the program, but you need to be able to talk about them and ask questions of the interviewer about, whatever it is, to show that you are trying to figure out, is this the program that is going to get me to this point, and to be able to demonstrate that you've got some knowledge of what you're getting yourself into, and be able to, again, I feel like I keep saying the same thing, just articulate how this program is going to help you, and then how you are going to perform in the program.
Spot on, Heather. I think we covered, but I do have one piece of advice that someone told me once that I'd like to share that I think really helps with an interview. Obviously we're living in a time where a lot of stuff is happening via Zoom, but frankly, even before the COVID-19 pandemic, most of our interviews were done via Zoom or Skype anyway, because individuals don't necessarily need to come to campus just for that. But here's my piece of advice when you're interviewing, via some sort of virtual format. Prior to the interview, get on Zoom or Skype or Teams or whatever it may be with a friend or a family member and say, what does this look like? Am I too close? Am I too far away? Am I too quiet? Can you hear me? Is there something in the background that's distracting that I should remove? Or is it too blank? Is it just a white wall behind me? It'd be nice to have things behind me or whatever. Am I dressed appropriately? That is a great thing to do prior to an interview. Have someone you trust to actually observe what you look like and how you sound, because you want your interview itself to be focused on the content that you're giving and the conversation that you're having, and you don't want it to be boring or distracting or someone can't hear you because that, or your face is up like this, right? So it's one of these things I think is really great to practice. So I would encourage that before any interview, practice with a friend first.
Yeah, good points.
Mhm.
A lot of stories about interviews I've done where people did not do that. So good point, Scott. Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned earlier the Kira video essay, and I know oftentimes this is kind of the point in the application process where oftentimes applicants pause because they're nervous about it or they're just not quite sure how to prepare. Maybe share some pointers on the Kira video essay and what they can do, or maybe just try to alleviate some of that anxiety that they might have.
You can start again, unless. Okay. First of all, you're not going to be asked questions that are going to try to get you, and questions that have just one right or wrong answer about human resources or about supply chain or anything like that. These are basically general business questions that might have to do with topics like leadership, team building, problem solving, all skills that you are going to need to demonstrate when you're in the program and beyond in a workplace. And I think if you think of it as this is the time where I get to show off a real world skill that I need, which is I need to be able to answer a question in a conversational tone, in a relaxed manner that shows that I can think on my feet. I have enough knowledge where I can answer maybe a very general question about maybe what my definition of leadership is, or what type of role do I like to take on when I'm working on a team project. This is where you can showcase that, yes, you're going to be able to perform well in a small group setting in our small courses. You're going to be able to talk with the faculty that you may find intimidating at first. So it's not like you have to study for this and you're going to get dinged if you have the wrong answer. No, this is about how you answer and how you can show off a very good, very needed life skill of making conversation. Do you agree with that?
I think the Kira is a lot simpler than what folks make it out to be. And my best advice for the Kira is speak calmly, speak clearly, present yourself professionally,
Yes.
and you will do fine. Certainly address the question that is put forth to you and answer that question, but don't, Heather mentioned it just a moment ago, don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Rarely there is. As long as you can show that you're composed and can speak professionally and think on the spot and at least get the job done, that's all we're really looking for in the Kira. So just be calm and be professional.
Great. Good advice. So we haven't yet touched on the topic of scholarships, and I know that's a point of interest of every student who is thinking about a graduate degree. So I know at Krannert we have a couple different types of scholarships, and even between your programs, there's some differences in how the scholarships are awarded or the types of scholarships. So Heather, why don't you first talk about the HR program and what scholarships are available? And then Scott, I'll let you touch on marketing and supply chain.
So for the MS Human Resource Management program, we have a couple of different options. So we have the cash scholarships and we have assistantships. We're the only program that has assistantships that are available because we are an 18-month program. So every application, first of all, for all of our programs, you're automatically considered for a cash scholarship, and in the case of HR, an assistantship. And these are based basically on the strength of your application, right? And you don't have to fill out anything additional to kind of show need or anything like that. These are based on how, like I just said, the strength of your application. The cash scholarships range from maybe $2,500 up to $7,500 for the HR program. These are one-time cash scholarships that are typically divided up equally among the 3 different semesters. If you are a very highly qualified candidate, and that's something we would always talk about kind of privately in a meeting about what your application looks like and if it would be considered for an assistantship, you would have most of your tuition kind of wiped away with that assistantship. You would still be responsible for fees, but you would have a very low amount that you would be responsible for In exchange for that, you will work for us in our office for 10 hours a week somewhere. You might work for the recruiting team, the marketing team, the admissions team, doing some really pretty high level work in a lot of cases. And you would also get a small stipend of about $700 a month for that too. So the assistantship is an outstanding thing to get. It's extremely competitive. There are not very many that are handed out, and the scholarships are competitive as well. Don't assume that there's kind of one for everybody. It is truly based on how strong of an applicant you are.
Yes. So I have a few points I want to make here. Much like when it comes to picking your graduate program, also do your research on what funding is out there for various graduate programs. I started my master's degree, I can't believe it was 10 years ago, but I started my master's degree about 10 years ago. And going into graduate school, I was under the impression I had heard before, oh, grad school pays for itself, right? Well, I found out that was not the case. It really depends on the program. Human resource management does have the assistantships, which can cover a substantial portion of your tuition. But for marketing, supply chain, and many of our other master's programs in the School of Management, assistantships are simply not a part of that. It's just not structured that way. They're very quick degrees, and our administration, our faculty believe there's not enough time for someone to get settled in and do well in an assistantship role. So with marketing, supply chain, many of our other programs, the only funding that we have are cash scholarships. And they tend to cover 10 to maybe 25 or 30% of tuition based on how strong of an applicant you are, how much we like you, and based on merit. So we kind of look at that and choose to award scholarships to the stronger applicants. But again, going back to my little piece of advice, do some research. And and the word research itself, I mean, a lot of master's degrees at universities are research-based degrees where you are doing research for a university. And so because you're working for them and contributing back, they pay for a substantial portion of your tuition. Our master's degrees are professional degrees. They're skill sets. They don't have research involved. In the School of Management, all of our research is done at the PhD level. I won't say all of it, but the vast majority is done at the PhD level. So if you're looking to do research in graduate school, at least in our School of Management, you'll have to go for a PhD. And yes, then you'll have some assistantship benefits associated with that. But look at each program, look at each university, and find out, is it a professional degree? Is it a research degree? Is there a teaching assignment associated with it? Again, those are things you don't tend to find with most of our master's degrees in the School of Management, other than pretty good cash scholarship.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. And back to Heather's original point, there is no separate application. So if you have applied to the program and are admitted, then you are automatically evaluated for scholarship competitiveness, right? So I know we're coming up here close to the close of the hour, and I want to give some time for Q&A, but just real quickly, maybe each of you, one piece of advice, right, that you would give a prospective applicant, what would it be?
This kind of segues just from what we were just talking about, and Scott and Michelle kind of mentioned this too. Work backwards. When you're doing your research, work backwards and figure out how to pay for grad school before you even start thinking about scholarships and assistantships. Pretend like those don't exist. Figure out where you want to be. What is the schools that interest you the most based on rankings, based on fit, based on what you want your outcome to be. That way, if you know how you're going to pay for your entire grad school, then you have all the freedom in the world to pick the program that best fits you, and you're not picking a second or a third or a fifth or a sixth choice simply because of price. But if you go into it that way, you're going to be doing yourself the best, giving yourself the best possible outcome, because you will truly find the school that best fits you.
Yeah, it's going to take some work other than getting your admissions test score, the GMAT or the GRE, and working towards that, other than preparing for your interview and writing your essay and all those sorts of things. To do this the best, take the time to figure out which university or college, which school, which program, which region of the country or the world suits you best. And there's a lot involved there, right? But and I'm an educator by trade, and I know for a fact, I'm happy to admit that some universities or business schools are better at things than others. And so, and others, fit you well if they have, maybe you have someone that's lower ranked, but they're well known for something specific that you are very, very interested in. If you can find that out early, hey, that's the type of school and the program you should apply to. And it's probably going to make you a better student, a better professional, and frankly, a happier person during your grad school time. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Take the time to research all of the elements about the university, the town that university is in, the program, the curriculum, all of those things, and it'll pay off as you make your decisions.
Great. Thanks so much, Heather, Scott. Thanks for the great advice. Zori, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm sure there may be some questions that came up in the chat.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. It was really very informative, and you also had great tips to the potential candidates. Actually, we had a few questions in the Q&A section, and Scott was very kind to reply to them. But I would like to just briefly go through them once again so that people who weren't able to read the answers will get this information as well. So the first one is from someone who studied law. And the question was whether they can change the major. So the answer from Scott is yes, many of our students in the School of Management come from a variety of backgrounds, law included. It is quite common for students to come from one background and add a business degree on top of their background.
If I could add on to that too, yeah, if you're going into finance, right? Maybe you just want to switch your career and get into a master's of finance degree, and you think, oh no, I have to have a background in finance to get into a master's of finance degree. That's not always true and necessarily true. We have a lot of students who are looking to pivot in their career, add on a new skill set like human resources, like marketing, like whatever else. And that's perfectly fine. What we are looking for from an admissions standpoint is evidence of your ability to be successful in that degree. So an understanding of what it is. Maybe if you come from a non-quantitative background, law, I would assume doesn't have a lot of quantitative or analytical ability or requirements, but that's where you're going to have to showcase things you've done professionally that include analytics, or you take the GNET or GRE and get a good score in analytics. And we welcome students all the time if they're coming into this program brand new, but they also have to demonstrate that they'll be successful in it and that it's a good fit for them. So that's my thought. Oh, and lastly, that can actually be a very powerful combination. Again, if someone got an undergrad in finance, worked in finance, now they're getting a master's in finance, well, great, you're great at finance. But in many cases, having a specialty in one thing and then adding on a specialty in another can be very, very powerful professionally.
Thanks, Scott. Well, the next question refers to the very topical theme of COVID. So did the programs change because of the pandemic? Are there hybrid or online options? Purdue has continued to instruct on campus during the pandemic, which reduced capacity in classrooms and additional health and safety protocol. However, we offer both online and in-person options based on the needs and preferences of the learner.
Yeah, I would add to that too. Just although we're awaiting final guidelines for our fall classes this coming fall, our anticipation is though that we will be increasing our the density in the classroom back to full capacity. Of course, still maintaining a lot of the the protocols that we have in place. I do think Purdue did an amazing job in response to the pandemic in terms of really putting a plan together that protected our students, our faculty, our staff, but also tried to, in the best case possible, preserve the experience that the student was going to get. It was not exactly the same as pre-COVID, but I think there were a lot of opportunities and things put in place to try and make sure that students felt connected, they felt engaged, they were still getting the same instruction that they had, came to Purdue to receive. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I see that COVID was challenging, but it opened new perspectives.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next question, is there a career services department that could help us with placement after graduation?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Heather, or Heather or Scott, either one, do you want to?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Heather.
Oh, Scott may have answered this in the chat, but yes, we do have what we call Krannert Professional Development Center, and everyone in the programs will be assigned a career coach. You can also use any of the coaches that are in the center, and they'll help with a variety of things, getting you in front of alumni who are maybe coming back to recruit for their companies, help you get prepared for our career fairs, helping you with resume review, helping with interviewing skills, all of that. That's a very big part of your program. In fact, some students are surprised at how much you're pushed to work with your career coach. It almost feels like you've got an extra couple of classes because that's how much work that the career coaches want to do with you to ensure, the best possible outcome.
Thanks. I think these were all the questions regarding the content. There was one technical question about whether people who registered would be able to watch the video afterwards. Yes, we are recording this video. After we do some edits, we'll share it with you per email.